So Skylar was born in Texas, and then, of course, Jake was born here in Las Cruces. Okay. And now they're both in youth, which is crazy to think about.
Yep. Skylar turned 17 in August, and Jake turned 13 last Thursday. So, and I turned older on September 11th. So.
I turned older. I love it. Okay, so you've already explained about your faith background. What experiences in your life, either as individuals or as a couple, have been formative for you? If not in the beginning, just an experience of growth.
Well, I had actually, I don't know if my parents know this, but I had actually thought that I didn't want to be part of the United Methodist Church anymore especially after we got to St. Angelo. It was like very, very conservative. Almost all the churches, no offense, most all the churches were very, very strict Southern Baptist, even if they said they were United Methodist. And again, it's okay. It's okay. But for me, I was like, I don't know about this. And then I started thinking about different things a little bit outside of the norm. And then Greg was like, no, I'm not going to go to Unitarian Universalists or anything like that. And I thought, okay, I will stay with him. So I did. And then we moved here, and then I thought about it some more. But then we were looking for a church here in Las Cruces because there again, we wanted to build support. And we visited Morning Star one of the first weeks that we moved here. And then we didn't come back to Morning Star for a while, but one of Greg's colleagues at the university said, because we thought there were no kids here at Morning Star. We already had Skylar, and then we were like, well, there's no kids here at Morning Star. Well, it turns out we went to like the 11 o'clock service, and we didn't know it. And then one of his colleagues said, well, there's a bunch of kids there. You went to the wrong service. So about a year later, we came back to the 9:15 or 9, whatever it was.
Whatever
then.
It was, yeah.
And then there were tons of kids. And then Skylar always called Sunday school nursery rhymes, which was so cute.
Oh.
I forgot about that. And then Greg and I both became very active here. We joined Morning Star the exact day that Pastor John announced that he was leaving. So we were like, oh, okay. But that's okay. We've been here ever since. So.
And you understood how the Methodist Church works in terms of appointing pastors, so that wasn't a new thing for you. Okay. So Morning Star was a good fit. From that beginning. And you've been active in a lot of different ways. You served in the children's ministry for a long time, didn't you?
Yes, I did. 10 hours a week for children's ministry for several years. And then Greg did all sorts of things.
So I don't remember who started first. I did small groups. We used to have 10-hour paid positions for less than minimum wage probably for the number of hours that we really put in other than 10 hours. She was children's ministry for quite a while, and I did youth. We did Wednesday nights. We did lots of groups. I organized that kind of stuff. When we went through, for those of you that have been around for a few years, we went through something called the Healthy Church Initiative. And in the Healthy Church Initiative, it was decided that we needed somebody more full-time for both children's and small group, and I let it be known that I can't do this because I have a full-time job on the side. So, and I had to get tenure because I was still not tenured at that point and going through it. And so that's when a full-on search was done, and Stuart was hired wherever he's hiding. Stuart was hired into the Connections Minister. And in fact, I remember Stuart was on the board, and he took me out to lunch and was asking questions, and I was like, oh no, Stuart, I do not want that job. I do not want that job. So I've been involved. We used to have a men's breakfast pre-pandemic. I've been a little bit involved with men's breakfast. I'm not a morning person, so getting there at 8 o'clock was my favorite thing was the socialization, certainly not that. I guess I'm older. I don't know, I'm cranky, but I have an older spirit. I like hanging around people that are seasoned and have wisdom. And so I really enjoyed that because I got to learn a lot about faith development from people that have been much more faithful and much more involved in churches than I have. We went through a few pastors, and then I think it was 99. I was trying to, when did you come? What year?
I came in 2021.
Okay, so in 99, I was asked to serve on the board, and then I was asked to serve as the chair of the board. So I chaired the board for 3 years, which was fun and exhausting in a pandemic.
So that wasn't 99. That was
99, 2000.
that was 19. 2019.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 19.
Yeah.
So I did 3 years. So you came in
Yes.
21.
Yeah, you were.
'Cause- Okay. And so 2019, 2020, and 2021, I chaired the board, and I have been hiding in the shadows since. I'm calling this a sabbatical more than a year from service. I am still very involved in Scouts. Jake is out there. My Scout t-shirt is on underneath this shirt because we were selling popcorn. We were selling popcorn yesterday. Before that, the Girl Scout troop that used to be here, I don't know if they still meet here or not. That Schuyler was in that Girl Scout troop, so I've been involved in that. So we kind of float around the church on the exterior also, but certainly the most demanding was 3 years on the board. There's a few board members out there.
Yeah. So, but you also provide food for the youth on Wednesday nights on a regular basis. You're part of that rotation. And that's really important because the youth come hungry and they want to be fed. And we can always count on Greg and Denise to provide a great meal. And so we thank you for that. That's really important as well. So we're running short on time already, and we have so much that we haven't even talked about yet. You had a few things you wanted to be sure that we talked about, and some of them are coming to the surface, but not everything is. So is there anything that you want to lift up right now?
Well, I think we should mention that Greg was on the board that helped get Amy here, which I think that was so cool. And he did some really wonderful hard work saying to they out there what Morning Star needed and wanted in a pastor, and it was really beautiful. So
Yeah, I don't really think that can be overstated, and that's probably why Greg was burned out. When you're on the board, I mean, I hope we make the board work, important and even fun at times, but when you're on the board during a pastoral transition, it's really stressful. You're talking to cabinet members, and you may even be talking to the bishop at times, and there's a lot, I don't know if you know, there's a lot going on in our denomination right now, and so any pastoral move it could be potentially contentious. And so when Ross said that he was leaving to take this bigger church, which we can presume he was asked to do for a specific reason, it took a while to find a good fit. And Greg was really diligent in saying, this is what Morning Star is about, and this is the kind of person that we need. And he even wrote what is now termed the Armfield letter that spelled out very quickly, these are the things we need in a pastor right now because this is what we're about. And that's when I finally got a phone call. Would you be willing to move? Actually, yes, I would. So I'm really grateful to you because I'm glad to be here. So we cannot overstate that. That was really important work, and I think things could have gone quite differently if Greg hadn't stepped in.
And I was very, very proud of Greg because it was very well worded, exactly, and it was very pretty.
I've never even seen the letter, actually. I've never seen the letter.
I got to read it first.
It was an email. I did show it to you,
Okay.
but all the other board members, I just want to make sure all the board members had an input. It wasn't me on my own.
That's great.
This was something that the board said, no, we need to do this. I just happened to author it and send it to the
great.
district superintendent at the time. So
That's even better.
Steve, Pat, Christy, everybody that was on the board at that time had a word to say.
Great. Excellent.
And we do, here as a board, run as consensus, or at least we did at the time.
We do now.
So there were a few things during the pandemic that we did not come to a consensus on. Probably the biggest was shutting the church down, closing the doors because of the pandemic spread, and not meeting live. That was the most contentious that ever went through the board. But aside from that, everything else, everybody agreed, this is what Morning Star needs. So that's the background of the. I wasn't here for the Armfield letter discussion last time, so I heard secondhand how it came about. But yeah, that's it. I would just say, because I know we're running out of time, and then I'll let Denise talk more. For me, everything is about faith. That is the most important thing that you can hold. It's about faith. And regardless of the troubles and the stresses that you face, there has to be a faith and a level of hope there. My major weakness, faith development-wise, I don't think I pray enough. When I was on the board, I prayed a lot more. And so that's something that's important also from a faith development. And I know from what we've gone through in the last year with her health issues and the challenges, this is a praying church. And that is so important. But for me, it's about faith also.
Thank you for that. That's really beautiful. And something that you, too, keep coming back to is we wanted to find a church for community support. We wanted to find a church for development of friendships beyond Sunday morning, right? So I know that that's been really important for you in the last year. Do you want to speak to that a little bit, Denise?
Sure. Of course, Greg and I were already pretty well known around here because we moved to Las Cruces 14 years ago, so that would be about 13 years for the church. Even before my health stuff last year, I got tremendous support. We got tremendous support through the Stephen Ministry program, so I want to mention that. It was incredible. I was going through a very difficult time with my mental health. I happened to have bipolar disorder, and it was a very difficult time. That was when Pastor Travis happened to be here. So I was told that Stephen Ministry might be an option, and the person that became my Stephen minister may or may not be in the room right now, but it was just really beautiful. She listened and just was there for me at a time that was pretty dark, and it was very, very special. And we just basically fell in love through our faith, and now we are super close beyond even best friends. So that was like, as far as Morning Star goes, just an incredible part of my journey, our journey here at Morning Star was that program. And then last summer, I had a colonoscopy, and it found a polyp that was too big to be there. And in July of last year, I was diagnosed with colon cancer. And the support from this congregation, from many of you in this room, was just incredible. It was just almost overwhelming, but it was also at the same time not surprising, but it was just like whoosh. It was like, what do you need? What do you need? There were times during that whole thing where we like literally sat there and was like, we got to think of something for these people to do because they want to do something and we're like doing okay. But after I had a colon resection in August of last year, and then that surgery confirmed a large mass on one of my ovaries, and it turned out from that surgery, that I had ovarian cancer. So that was like, oh, wow. But looking back, the colon thing was a blessing in disguise because ovarian cancer tends to lie low, and just I was having no symptoms whatsoever, really, of either one. And colon cancer is definitely very scary and definitely kills people, but ovarian cancer, woo, not good. So then I wound up, that was back in August, and then in September I started chemotherapy. I had 6 rounds of chemotherapy in Albuquerque. Excellent care. I actually had 2 very sweet women within the church came and said, I had your surgeon. I think you're really going to like him. And I'm like, that's so cool. And many people came up, oh, I had cancer 20 years ago, and I'm fine now. And I'm like, oh, I'm so thankful for all the advances in cancer care and treatment. It's just really quite amazing. But then, of course, the prayers from all of you. When I was very first diagnosed with the colon cancer, the first day, I was told, I left work, and then I went and found Greg. We were sitting in a parking lot, and I told him, and I was like, well, now what do we do? And then we called Amy, because we didn't know what else to do. So we called Amy. So unfortunately, we got to make that call 2 times, because when the second one came along. But that's just how special the support. So thank you, Amy.
Oh,
thank you
gosh.
to all of you. Thank you.
I'm always honored to be one of those early calls. It's not easy to reimagine life, and that's basically what you have to do in the moment that you get that news. So it's been an honor to support Denise and Greg through this journey, right? And we're grateful to be able to do that. Thank you for being so open about it. Is there anything else before I ask for questions or comments?
I think I just want to mention, I mentioned a few minutes ago that I do have bipolar disorder. I think that with all the cancer thing, you know, I was all over Facebook. Oh, I have colon cancer and ovarian cancer, and everybody, you know, I had tons of people praying across the country and stuff. But I'm like, the mental health issues tend to be a lot more stigmatized and not as far, you know, into the public. Mental illness, unfortunately, has affected our small family as well on more than one occasion. And even when the situations that our family was going through, we still had support here, because people would come up and say, how are you doing? Well, I'm doing okay, but this person really could use some prayer. And without even knowing what was going on, there was prayer here and that kind of support. And I think that's what families do, right? Because even when you can't say or don't feel comfortable, you know, this is exactly, it's like, okay, I'm going to pray for that person. And it just feels really good.
Thank you for that. We say this often here in many different ways, but mental health is health.
Yeah.
And we support each other through that.
Yes.
Absolutely. Any comments or questions? Yeah, Steve.
New Mexico State. I actually had a friend that worked in the department, and we had drawn a circle from San Angelo back to basically Kansas City, or she grew up in St. Joe, that we wanted to be closer to family, and I had to seek permission. And Rebecca was a fantastic friend of hers during my graduate school. She was a colleague of mine, and she she was in the department, and so I applied, and I've been here ever since. So. Yeah, the circle got, you know, there was a outcrop, I guess.
The circle got adjusted a bit.
To be close to Rebecca, so that was a good thing.
Anything else?
I'm actually the department head, but I still teach. I teach less, but I'm the department head for communication studies now. So.
And we are glad he is, because he now employs my husband, which is really great.
We started a new online graduate program, and Jason came along with the leadership EDD about the time I needed somebody to teach leadership classes. So
It worked out really, really well.
Good.
Yeah. Anything else? Yes, Pat. Yeah. 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 Denise is a hometown hero, for sure. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Yes, Fran.
I'm happy to do that, but I just have to mention that Pat Keever was one of my transporters to the Cancer Treatment Center. Miss Sandy Clifford was as well, and we both of those times Greg couldn't go, and they just stepped in, and we actually had wonderful discussions and trips up to Albuquerque. But yes, Fran, I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I currently work for Ben Archer Health Center as a therapist. I love my job. I get to my goal is to spread hope to everybody that comes into my office, and I think I learned that here at Morning Star, and that's also my goal for Morning Star, to keep on going.
Amen. So, Steve, this is going to be the last word because we have to have church in here in just a minute. We learn a lot from you both. We do, absolutely. Not just in your official capacities, but just as part of this community, which is what it's all about. Right? So let's thank Denise and Greg for their time today. I wish we had more time.
Thank you all.